Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching my YouTube video. What you have just heard is a MIDI mock-up of Jedi Steps from the Star Wars Episode 7 that you can listen at the very end of the film just right before the end roll. I know there are already a bunch of videos that talks about those or libraries and mockups, but I haven't found one that has the exact same combination of my libraries. So why not I would share my session and show how I built this template. So first of all, the idea is recreating an existing orchestral piece and trying to make my project exactly sound like that as much as possible, which ultimately will become a template for any kinds of orchestral pieces. Maybe you can just compose your own piece for a template, but sometimes at least for me, it's hard to keep having a clear judge my own piece. So probably it would be better to use an orchestral piece you are familiar. I mean, this is a piece I'm familiar with. Okay, now, before actually putting notes in the DAW, you have to import the original track that you want to imitate. This makes things easier to compare side by side, and more importantly, you need this track because you need the temp map generated from the piece to set up bars and tempo changes. Actually, I made another video dedicated to that function in Digital Performer, so please check the previous one if you are interested. So, this is my tempo mapping. As you see, the tempo changes almost every beat. Like here, it's not consistent at all because, of course, it's a live recording. And here's some bake retard under. And by the way, it is almost impossible for me to transcribe every single note of this kind of whole orchestral piece, so I use a published score. The only difference is the first few bars at Woodwinds, which I think are different from the original soundtrack version. So please be noticed that there's no doubling or layering techniques whatever. So that MIDI tracks should look just like the score. There are no compression or effects except the minimum amount of EQ and reverb, which I will show you later. Okay, that's enough talking. Now let's begin with the woodwind. I use bellowing woodwinds with expansion set for bass clarinet and the contrabassoon. It is always good to have the entire section from the same series of the library, and these bellowing twins all sound great. I actually have the revive version, but I prefer to remain in the legacy version for now. I also have the Venus special edition with expansions, and I really love their approach to the sound, which is completely dry, and you have full control over the sound and instruments. If you know the instrument very well, you may be able to produce much more realistic sound than others. Anyway, for this session, Berlin will work better, and I really like it. So this is the woodwind section. Okay, next brass. It's sample modeling, and I really love this. To be honest, I'm still trying to build the best mix for this library. But for me, this is one of the best brass libraries for a reason. You can just go to check their demo on the website, and they are so incredible. So they are completely dry by design, and you need to put them into the right space depending on the genre of your piece. For this kind of orchestral piece, I use a convolution reverb to put them into a kind of a studio setting at first. So this is IR1 from Waves that they provide lots of convolution files. It has only basic preset by default, but you can download other presets and convolution data from their website. So you can virtually have tons of spaces from all over the world, not only studios or halls, but so many environments. So it was for insert effects, and then I got a send reverb that all brass sounds go into it. I use the lexicon random hall for it. It's a very beautiful algorithmic reverb. This is for putting the entire brass into a kind of a whole environment with rich and deep reverb sound. So let's check the brass sound. So for example, this is completely dry of the library itself. Lexicon Hall. Probably there can be better reverbs for them, such as Artiverb or Tushy Audio, but I don't own them, and you can find demos and YouTube video everywhere using them. I just wanted to show that as a setting like this can work. At least for me, it works at this kind of some certain quality. Okay, next percussions. Actually, this piece couldn't be the best example for the big percussion template because it doesn't require a huge percussion section. I mean, it's not ideal, but it has at least minimum basic setup like timpani, cymbals, and grand cassette. So here they are. They are Spitfire's orchestral percussion, which has really beautiful room sounds from the Air Studio. As you know, percussions have their sheets at the way back of the orchestra setting. So it shouldn't be in front of your face, but it needs to sit back there. And I like this natural whole sound for orchestral percussions. I also brought cymbals from Albion one, but anyway, it was recorded in the same hall. By the way, their xylophone and marimba is also so beautiful. The harp is also from Spitfire. Actually, I didn't get much into other harp libraries to compare, but I like this anyway. Okay, now finally strings. As you know, there are so many great strings libraries, and there is no one that rules them all. However, I accidentally found that the Spitfire Symphonic Strings is perfect for this piece because of its specific patch, which I will show you later. Now I want to tell you that this library sounds great by default 3 mic, but you have extra mic option that you can control stereo waves and pan individually. And also they offer a professional expansion library which has fast chair mic and other mics. This adds more definition and richness at the same time. I mean, other competing libraries have the same feature or options, and I rarely recommend to go deep into those settings to get the most out of it. In this case, I use the 3 outrigger from the regular pack and the close ribbon leader position. It seems I didn't adjust the pan and stereo voice so much, but sometimes I already take care of adjusting them. Anyway, having these mic positions would add something special to your sound. Now, I just found there is a perfect patch for the last section of this piece. As you know, this section is the climax that wraps up the entire film, and the sound is very powerful, soaring, very dynamic towards the staff roll. And this articulation named Rachmaninoff is perfect for it. So let's solo them. And let's try the same thing with the regular sustain patches. And going back to the Rachmaninoff patch again. Maybe it's just my imagination, but this has a much more powerful body of sound that they don't care about playing in the correct pitch or the clean sort of classical textbook performance, but it's more like almost crying out type of performance, I think. I never used this articulation before, but this was a perfect situation. Okay, so that's all for this template. But I just forgot to tell you about the balance. I think one of the most important aspects of making a template is for balancing out between each library. Like in the real orchestral setting, you always have to think about the balance between each instrument or a section. For me, it's a kind of a instrumentation or orchestration. So, for example, one trumpet equals maybe two horns, or for example, a full fast violin section equals maybe I don't know a full high woodwind section, or maybe flute ensemble on something like that. I'm sorry I can't bring the best example right now, but anyway, the point is to balance at the volume. I'm not such a master of orchestration, but I'm just trying to make it more realistic and natural. Probably I should have used a classical piece rather than film music because they could be adjusted and edited after the recording. But I think his music is also supposed to sound as same as the live recording. So in my case, probably the horns were too loud by default, so I had to bring them down. And maybe I will work on other balances later, especially for woodwinds. But anyway, that's the idea. So, that's all for now. Thank you so much for tuning in this long video. I hope you enjoyed it and helpful. Please check out my other videos and feel free to leave any comments, like or dislikes, whatever they are. I'm really looking forward to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.